Hello, you beautiful souls. I just thought I'd do a Facebook Live video here to capitalize on something that came up last evening. So I'm going to, if you pardon me, put on my reading glasses, and I'm actually going to pull this up and speak about it as I promised I would. So this is actually created to assist several people. A gentleman who I mentor, who we were discoursing about this on. Hello, Pamela. I have my reading glasses on. I can actually see. But before I go into that, I wanted to say thank you to all of you beautiful divine feminine goddesses. I'm overwhelmed. I released one of my songs yesterday. I've been in the process, as some of you have seen, I've been in the process of recording and also remastering some recordings that I've done and whatnot of 4 different albums. And so a lot of you have been asking me, okay, so what albums are you doing? So I have one album that is going to be on my harp, playing me harp and me guitar. And then the other album is going to be Songs for the Inner Soul Child. And this is for divine feminine goddesses as well as divine masculine and beautiful gods as well. And so I do have a song coming for that as well, and in that album. And then I'm going to have a Lemurian light language album as well, which I was just singing in light language. And then also a meditation album as well. So this is kind of like the culmination of like years of songs I've written, chants I've written, and zillions of things that have come through me and whatnot that I just haven't completely put into recording fully. My last album actually was in 2013, so it's been 5 years since I've done an album. So I was like, right, okay, it's time. So not just one album, but 4 albums. So that will be coming out this autumn at some point. Let's see. Hello, Carl. Hello, Melissa. 2 Melissas. Hello, Ash. Good morning to you, beautiful goddess, Melissa. So lovely to see you. Pamela, lovely to see you here as well. So just wanted to give you an update and just say thank you, how much I appreciate you, all of you beautiful divine goddesses. Sherry, a big shout out to you, Sherry, for posting the video out to all your beautiful divine feminine goddesses. You know, the more that we support each other, the more that this world becomes a better place, whether we're divine feminine goddesses supporting each other, which is so important, and it's something that I talk about in my course, the divine, celebrating and shining the divine feminine goddess womb-bin in you. And this is in part where I put this chant that I released yesterday from. It was something that channeled through me a couple of years ago, and I included it in my course. It's, you know, divine feminine and divine masculine alike, the more that we support each other and love each other and see the God or the source and the master artist within, the better off that we will be. Because at the heart of it, you know, all we ever really want is to be loved and held and heard and nurtured and supported, uplifted, and to know that we see the God within each other, regardless of, you know, issues, you know. And so this is something that I wanted to talk about today, because this is also inspired by a beautiful divine feminine goddess who posted in response to my post last evening. Interestingly enough, I think this has been, I don't know, I've lost track. I think it's probably been about maybe 3 weeks or so. I've had these channels that come in just every night. The channels usually just come through me unless I'm posting something from my books or something like that. They usually come through me on a daily basis anyway. But inspired kind of by Thich Nhat Hanh in a sense, he does these breathing meditations where it's like breathing in, I smile. And I think that's kind of the one I started out with maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago now. And breathing in, I smile, breathing out, I, continue to smile, or whatever it is that he does, but it's something along those lines. And I felt just kind of inspired by that. And so these channels, like every evening, sometime usually between 10 and maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, usually come through, and they're just very simple channels. It's just, breathing in, I'm breathing in the essence of appreciation. Breathing out, I'm breathing in the, breathing out, letting go of, things that no longer serve. And breathing in, it's a sense of appreciation. Breathing out, I give that to the world. A lot of you have been seeing them and have been sharing them, and I really appreciate that. Hello, Tristan. Hello, Kali. Hello, Leah. And Nagendra, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Fantastic to see you all here. So this one was inspired actually by a divine masculine God. He is a beautiful man, a beautiful soul who I am mentoring, who also is my near twin, one of my near twins. And he's going through a lot of shifts and changes in his life. And so for those of you who didn't see it last evening, what I posted was breathing in, I allow myself to feel whatever is moving through me, being fully present to it. Breathing out, I release and I let it go. And so one of the beautiful divine feminine goddesses that I love dearly from Canada, from my home, my original home, Scotland here is my home as well. She posted something how she really needed this and appreciated it. And so I felt called to respond in a way to what she's going through, because she had written about the fact that she had experienced something with her father having an accident in which he survived, and it was a miracle that he survived. And my near twin is, going through some difficulties in actually moving from his head or his mind into his heart, and really feeling. And so what it brought up in my mentoring him last evening is what I really wanted to share with you. And it's something I've talked about many, many times. I have loads of videos. I have channels about it, writings, my own experiences. I've talked about this specific thing on the air, I think, as well, in all the years that I've done radio. It's been, gosh, like 20 years I've done radio. And so it's something personal that happened in my life which actually caused me to come into this knowing. And it's about being in the present moment of feeling it full out. Now, those of you who have watched my videos on YouTube, I've had my YouTube channel, I've realized this, that I've had my YouTube channel for like 13 years or something ridiculous like that. I think it's like 2006, so we're coming up now on 13 years. And pardon the noise going on. I have my window open right now. So it's been interesting with the YouTube videos, how they've evolved and whatnot. But I've talked about this, about being as a child and feeling full out, whatever it is that you're meant to feel in the moment. And I liken it to a child that has a tantrum. And so when a child has a tantrum, if you remember from being a child, and it's interesting that the car that's moving right now, out of our car park, it's like the roaring. What happens when a child has a tantrum? They're just roaring. They're having a moment, they're having a right fit about something, maybe they can't have a sweetie or a cake or a cookie or something along those lines, and mum or dad has said, no, you can't have this, or you can have it after dinner or what have you. And so we as children have a right fit about it. But then what happens like 5 minutes later? 5 minutes later, we're back in happiness, love, enjoy in the moment, and we don't hold on to those things. We just let it go, and you know, we just move forward and we enjoy our life, and we're back into imagination, and we're back into love and excitement. So it's not, as children, it's not something we hold on to. We as adults, we hold on to it and we reactivate things. And now what I'm going to share with you is not about reactivating, it's sharing an experience so that you can come to understand where I came into this wisdom. And I'm seeing a bunch of hearts. Jacqueline, lovely to see you. Hello, Sandra, lovely to see you as well. So here's the thing. How I deeply came into this wisdom was raising my own children, and my eldest son in particular. My eldest son, and this was almost 30 years ago now, when he was wee. He was 2, and we were living in a flat at the time, and we had an electrical fire in our flat. And it was very traumatic, and as a result, it was while he was sleeping. And I had gone downstairs to grab the post, and I was talking to the caretaker or management of the flats that we lived in at the time, and she was a good friend, and you know, we often chatted up and whatnot, and I was stood outside having a chat with her. And I felt this intuition, this, like, I can't even say terror, but I knew something was wrong, for lack of a better word. Just, you know, your children, you know, something's, you know, wrong. So he was napping, you know, in the room while I was chatting with this woman downstairs. And I just immediately had this intuition, I have to go. And I just said to her, I have to go. And I made it up the stairs in time. Black-filled smoke, opened the flat door, black-filled smoke, couldn't even really see anything. Crawled my way on my hands and knees to his bedroom, which was quite a ways into the flat, to find him and rescue him, and we both barely got out alive. And he experienced a lot of trauma as a result of this, because at the time he was a late bloomer. He was just, it was just before he had turned 2. Just before he had turned 3. And so he was a late bloomer in terms of talking and whatnot. And he went from just beginning to talk to completely becoming silent. He was mute, and was that way for about 1.5 years after this happened. And so we had him in therapy for various things, complications from physical aspects as well, which I'm not going to get into right now. But it was very traumatic, and he suffered from PTSD as a result of it. I had some trauma related to it that I needed to heal as well, because it brought up other lives for me. Of course, the trauma in this life that, you know, I had almost lost my son, that I was alone. My husband and I were married at that point. We had only been married for a wee while, and we had just actually moved to this flat a couple of months prior. And we had moved for his job. And so the thing was is that I was alone, though, because he was working so much. And so it was very traumatic, you know, for me as well, and I had to heal from that. But one of the things that helped, and this is something I share about this in my Divine Feminine Goddess course as well, but one of the things that helped was getting in the present moment. And bless this therapist that we had, before we had to move house again, we were called away quite a few 100 kilometers away for his job again, but we had her as a therapist for about 8 months or so. And we had this absolutely beautiful book that she had recommended to us. And it's the story of this wee lass, and she could be more than maybe 3, 4, 5. And her name is Jessica, and the book is called Jessica and the Wolf. And it's a story about, and I'm going to paraphrase it, basically she has a fear of wolves. And she had night terrors, which is what my son was having, my eldest son at the time was having, related to this fire that we had. And so she creates, with the help of her father, this magic wand. And basically, it's turning around and facing her fears is the gist of it. She stands there and she faces it, and it's so she actually feels it. And this is what we had to come into understanding with my son, and also for me. I had to stand and actually face it. I was running from that fear. I got so into, I have to help him to heal. I have to, get things sorted. Loads of doctors, because he had some physical issues regarding what happened. We were, constantly back and forth to the doctor trying to get things sorted. I couldn't do the natural health methods at that point because I was married to a man who wasn't into any of that. And so I kind of put all that to the side. And so I was running around, and I was avoiding. I was avoiding feeling my own pain. I was avoiding feeling the fear that I felt in those moments, the fear of losing my life, fear of losing my son's life, just loads of things I was avoiding feeling. And it took this book all these years ago, reading it to my son, thinking, oh, I'm helping him to heal, was then I realized, oh, I lived within, I needed to heal. And so it's really about being in the present moment and feeling. You may have heard the saying around feeling to heal. You need to feel to heal. So many of us, and I've done loads of videos on YouTube about this and written things about this over the years. And this is also inspired by a bloke that I just became friends with on Facebook, who was sharing a video on his Facebook fan page about that I was watching about addictions. So I've done a lot of work with addictions. I've been around addictions my entire life. My family is comprised of addictions. My father was a work addict and an emotionally abusive man, although he had a loving side to him and the compassionate side to him still. And, those are the things that I take and cherish and have compassion for him. But my mother, a prescription drug addict, the rest of my mom's family are alcoholics or drug dealers, drug addicts. My own cousin committed suicide in 2011, pardon me, it's summer solstice 2011, actually with drugs and alcohol. My great aunt, who was my father's aunt, was a very abusive alcoholic, and I remember many times as a child hiding under my bed. I had this beautiful mahogany wood bed that was my grand's, and it, was off the floor quite a ways, and I would hide under there for fear of being beaten by her. I was already beaten by my mother as a child as it was. And severely abused. But on the times when she was childminding me and my brother, I often felt that way because she would get into a drunken state. And when I was 12, I saved her from going through a sliding glass door that led to our back garden because she was in such a drunken state. So I'm sharing all of this with you not to reactivate, as I was sharing earlier, but to give you a context that I know and understand about addictions. And my mum also was a smoker for many years. And so behind the addiction is what you're running from. My own twin soul, he would never say that he was that he is a recovering alcoholic, but since December 7th of 2011, he has and is a recovering alcoholic. He always says he took his vibrant health to the next level after drinking for 30 some odd years. And I honor him for that. I've been around addictions, and I've helped many with addictions. And the underlying cause of all addiction is, what are you running from? And whether it's addiction to food, addiction to sex, addiction to alcohol, drugs, work, you name it, whatever it is, an addiction is all because you're running away from something. You're running away and avoiding, hiding it, not hiding the addiction, but in some cases you can hide the addiction, but hiding from what it is that you're meant to feel. And it's very painful. And I can understand where those people are coming from, because I've experienced so much pain in my life, and I stuffed it down through other means. Grieving with my original twin soul who was killed, I stuffed it down into a loveless marriage. Have 4 beautiful children, but nonetheless, in that was a way of running. And last summer, I have a dear friend down in England who invited me to her festival. to speak at and to do sessions for. And I did, and she was just running around here and there. And of course it was the festival, and I understand that. But she never had the opportunity to actually sit down. And so I said to her at one point, I said, do me a favor, can you just come sit with me for a minute and just be? And she was like, no, I can't. And I was like, why can't you? And she says, because if I do, then I would have to feel. So we can utilize just running here and there, and it doesn't even have to be an addiction. It can be just literally running away from, and when we come into being in our inner soul child, we be as that child having a tantrum. We feel it full out in the moment, we be with it, we be with that pain, and there's this miracle, this amazement of something that happens, just like that book, Jessica and the Wolf. She turned around and she faced her fear, and then the wolf disappeared. So it's like when we actually get in the present moment and feel what it is that we're avoiding, because that's what we're avoiding. We're avoiding hurt, we're avoiding pain, we're avoiding grief, we're avoiding, sometimes even love, because we're afraid to love, because we're afraid we're going to lose that love, right? So whatever it is that you're running from, if you can actually be in the present moment, that's the sweet spot. That's where healing occurs. If you can be with it in just saying, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, I'm grieving right now, free from the story. And this is something I teach in my Divine Feminine Goddess course, but I felt so called to share this with you, all of you now, Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine alike. Free from being about the story of it. So I shared my story with you just to give you a context so that you understood something. And I'm not feeling that hurt and that pain in the moment because I healed it. And this is how you know you've healed something, when you can look back and you're no longer triggered emotionally, and then you can utilize it as a catalyst to help others. When you can just be with it without the story. So I shared my story with you about, the abuse, about, addictions, things of that nature in my life. Yet I wasn't emotionally charged with it. I wasn't like, oh my God, my father's this, or oh my God, my mother's this, or oh my God, my cousin this, It wasn't that way, right? That's how you know you've healed it. But it's simply about being in the moment with it, free from the story, free from why you feel that hurt, that pain, that grief, that sadness, free from any of it, just feeling it and naming it. Acknowledging it. I am in pain right now. I am hurting. When I was 15, I was raped. So my father, being the emotionally abusive man that he was, he told me I deserved it. Originally, he thought I was with this bloke that was in our neighborhood, and he thought that I had been with this bloke. And while I fancied him and he fancied me, it wasn't even the case. And so then he had turned around and told me I deserved it. So when I went to go heal that, I had to sit with that pain and that hurt, that, oh my God, my father said that to me, And so when I did, I just fully felt it. Just like a child having a tantrum, I felt that sadness, that grieving, that my father wasn't really there for me, that the only father who is really there for me and the mother that's really there for me is Source. But I had to come to the basic level of understanding first, of really feeling that pain. That, oh my God, my father wasn't there for me. He told me I deserved that. What parent does that? Kind of thing. I had to feel my anger. I was like, oh my God, I had to feel it in the moment, just like a child having a tantrum. And the very act of actually being present with it, without the story, just, I'm angry. I'm angry at the man who raped me. I'm angry at, my former husband because of him taking my children from me and using them as a possession, so I haven't seen them. I had to go through and experience that. And then what happens is there's this magic. It's like, I feel heard. I feel heard, not because somebody else heard me share this, but because I heard me. And Source heard me. I felt heard. And then it was just like, it disappears. And then you go back into this place of feeling love, just like the inner soul child. playing and in this miraculous place of love and creativity and imagination and everything else. And that is how we heal. And this bloke, I think his name is Jay, forgive me if I get the name incorrect, but I had just become friends with him on Facebook. This is kind of what he was talking about. He was talking about addictions and the 12-step program and how he had to reach beyond that to heal. That the 12-step program is absolutely wonderful for those beginning on that addiction recovery process, and because it's wonderful to have those 12 steps. But he was saying, there comes a point in your growth that you need to go beyond that, and from recovery mode to actually healing. And so this is what I'm sharing with you in terms of feeling it to heal. And I hope that this inspires you to heal whatever it is, even if you are free from having any addictions. And if you're struggling with something in your life, anything, this is something that you can apply. And I hope this, helps you. Jacqueline, thank you for your loving comments. Love what you're doing, she says. Oh, bless you. Your energy is very gentle. Oh, thank you. You're such a beautiful goddess. You said it's a shame there was so much. It's a shame there are so many feeling but not healing. Exactly. And this is why I feel called to do this video with you, live here on Facebook. We are, we as enlightened beings should be doing more of this. Indeed. And because it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for saying that, Jacqueline. It's absolutely wonderful to have somebody there for you. And, this is something that I do. And I did a post on this recently about healing, and somebody being there for you to facilitate the process. I do that. That's what I do as a mentor. A lot of that work that I do with people is getting to the inner soul child hood wounds that are usually primarily in this life, but there are other lives that are reflections of it where these same patterns are occurring. And so I help by facilitating, by being there, to hear you, what maybe you're unable to do. And so if you're unable to do this process that I'm speaking of yourself and you struggle with it still, I'm here to help. And so feel free to, connect with me, and I can walk you through the process and be there, because sometimes we just need somebody to be there to hear us. And I completely understand that. Will, welcome. Liam, welcome. We are all addicts, Jacqueline says, for something, coffee, gambling, sex, self-harm, pill popping, you name it, right? You said you feel it's actually fear everything and run. There's a couple of face everything and recover. That's a good one too. I haven't heard the face everything and recover. Fear is, I've heard false evidence appearing real. And also you can, what's the other one? There's one, it's not fear everything and run, but it's something else along those lines, where you run or face everything and rise instead of recover. I can't remember the first part, but it's, having to do with, running away in that sense. So yeah, we have that ability to face everything and rise, and this is, what I wanted to share with you in that regard. And I just happened to notice that all this time that I've been recording, I wanted to record more in the sun, actually, because the sun is out right now. I just realized there's this beautiful rainbow that's coming through on the live feed. How brilliant is that? Fantastic. So lastly, what I wanted to do while this rainbow is, shining so beautifully is to share with you some sound healing in Lemurian light language. So I'm just going to sing and channel whatever's coming through, and may this be the gift of healing and revealing for you in holding space for yourself and for others. Moshikela, May the gift of this first eve of the full moon in Pisces, the opposite sign of mine, Pisces is my twin soul, Pisces is also my near twin. May this beautiful full moon in Pisces, as we move into Virgo, my birth month, be a shining reflection of the light of love that you are, revealing more and more of your soul song so that you shine the magnificence you are, because you are so incredibly beautiful. Thank you for joining me today, tonight, this moment, the present moment, the Om, the one moment, wherever you are in this world. And thank you for communing with me. And even if you see this on archive later, we're still communing in that love. The energy, the vibrational frequency essence is there. I love you all. Thank you. I appreciate you. You are beautiful and amazing. Espada. Namaste. I love you.